Hello dear students, in this session let us start a new topic in functional analysis, that is Hilbert space. Till previous session we were discussing Banach space. So now we have one more space, that is Hilbert space. Hilbert space is actually defined in an inner product space. Okay, inner product space is a kind of vector space. Here we use inner product space in order to find the angle between the lines, and the lines are actually vectors. So generalizing this concept is nothing but your inner product space. Using this concept you can define Hilbert space. Okay, so the exact definition of inner product space is, let V be a linear space, we have linear space or vector space means we have both vectors as well as scalars, right? So we are defining our linear space over a field K, and this K may be real, set of real numbers, or it may be complex. Okay, so now I will consider some elements in field K. Say A and B belongs to K, and I will consider vectors in my linear space. Say U, V, W belongs to V. These elements are arbitrary elements. Then inner product, we have a symbol to denote inner product, that is bracket like this. Okay, so I can define inner product. This bracket is called an inner product. Since we have a linear space or vector space is V, so we are defining our inner product on V if the following conditions are satisfied. So similarly we were discussing vector space also, right? Following conditions are satisfied. So let's see what are those conditions. The first condition is inner product of U comma V should belong to K. So if you take inner product of these two vectors or these three vectors, it should be there in your field K. That is your first condition. Second condition is something like linearity, that is AU plus BV comma W is equal to A into U plus V comma W. This is nothing but A into U comma W plus B into V comma W. So your second condition is inner product of AU plus BV comma W is equal to A into inner product of U comma W plus B into inner product of V comma W. Here A and B are your scalars coming from field K. Okay. The third condition is inner product of U comma V is equal to complex conjugate, that is inner product of V comma U bar. Bar represents conjugate, right, in your complex. So inner product of U comma V will be equal to inner product of V comma U whole bar, which is the complex conjugate of inner product of V comma U. Inner product of V comma U whole bar is a complex conjugate of inner product of V comma U. It is nothing but you write inner product of x plus iy as x minus iy, right, like that. So the next condition is inner product of u comma u is always greater than or equal to 0 and inner product of u comma u is equal to 0 if and only if u is equal to 0. So these four conditions, if any of the linear space satisfies these four conditions over a field K, then you can call that space as an inner product space. Okay. So therefore the vector space V with an inner product is called as inner product space. So now we understood what is inner product space. So now if field is real, then a real inner product space is called as Euclidean space. If the vector space is complex, then your inner product space is called as unitary space. Similar to your Banach space, there if field is real, then you call that particular space as a real linear space, and if it is complex, then it is complex linear space, right? Similarly here, if field is real, then you call that particular space as a Euclidean space. If it is complex, then you call that space as a unitary space. So now using this definition, let's define Hilbert space. To define Hilbert space, first of all, your space should be inner product space. That means if a space satisfies these four conditions, then you can use that space to define Hilbert space. So if inner product space satisfies certain conditions, then you can call that particular space as a Hilbert space. The conditions are inner product of x comma y belongs to K. Here I am using x and y. From this x and y are coming from linear space V. Okay. Sorry, this x and y are coming from Hilbert space H. In order to define inner product space, we are considering the element from vector space V. To define Hilbert space, we are considering elements from Hilbert space H. So your x and y are coming from H. Okay. This is the first condition. So the element of your Hilbert space should be there in your scalar field. Second condition is the conjugate complex should satisfy in Hilbert space also. That is, inner product of x comma y should be equal to inner product of y comma x whole bar, where this y comma x whole bar is the complex conjugate of inner product of y comma x. Okay. So the third condition is inner product of alpha x plus beta y comma z is equal to alpha into inner product of x comma z plus beta into inner product of y comma z, which is similar to your linearity property. The fourth condition is inner product of x comma x is equal to norm x square for all your x, y and z are coming from Hilbert space H and alpha comma beta belongs to field K. So inner product of x comma x is your norm x square. This condition is a bit different. Other than that, all conditions are similar to your inner product space definition itself. So now let us see some examples on Hilbert space. Okay. The first example is I will consider a Banach space, that is L2n space, and let's prove this space is a Hilbert space. Okay, that means this particular space should satisfy these conditions. Then you can say that L2n space is a Hilbert space. So I will consider n tuples of complex numbers with the norm of a vector, that is x is equal to x1, x2, so on up to xn. This is n tuples. So I should define a norm, right? Defined by norm x is equal to summation I is equal to 1 to n mod xi square whole power 1 by 2. We have seen this in Banach space itself while defining or while studying the examples of Banach space. We have seen how we can define norm, right? And so what is inner product of x comma y now? Inner product of x comma y will be summation I is equal to 1 to n xi yi bar. Using n tuples of complex number, we are defining our norm as well as inner product of x comma y. Okay. So now where y is equal to y1, y2, so on up to yn, and I will consider one more element, that is z1. So this is inner product z1 comma z2, so on up to zn. That means in general xi comma yi comma alpha comma beta are complex numbers. So now we have to check these conditions, right? If xi, yi, alpha, beta of all are complex numbers, then you can say that the elements of x and the elements of y are in K. We are considering complex number, set of all complex number. So obviously this is a field. So my elements will be in field. So the first condition is inner product of x comma y belongs to K. Here K is my set of all complex numbers. The second condition is I should prove the complex conjugate, right? So inner product of x comma y whole bar will be equal to, we know what is x comma y, inner product of x comma y. I will use this to define inner product of x comma y whole bar. So x comma y whole bar will be equal to summation I is equal to 1 to n inner product of xi yi whole bar xi yi bar whole bar, right? So if you expand the summation, you will get x1 y1 bar plus x2 y2 bar plus so on up to xn yn bar whole bar. So you can write this as x1 y1 bar whole bar plus x2 y2 bar whole bar plus so on up to xn yn bar whole bar. You can write this in this form. So this is nothing but, if you apply bar to both the elements, you will get x1 bar y1 plus x2 bar y2 plus so on up to xn bar yn. This is nothing but summation I is equal to 1 to n yi xi bar. So you can write this as inner product of y comma x. So if you take inner product of x comma y whole bar, you will get inner product of y comma x. So our second condition is also true. The third condition is alpha x plus beta y. We have to prove inner product of alpha x plus beta y comma z is equal to alpha into inner product of x comma z plus beta into inner product of y comma z. So to prove this, first I will find out what is alpha x plus beta y. So alpha x plus beta y will be equal to alpha into elements of x or x1, x2 so on up to xn plus beta into elements of y or y1, y2 so on up to yn. So this is nothing but alpha x1 plus beta y1 comma alpha x2 plus beta y2 plus so on up to, this is comma, up to alpha xn plus beta yn. This is your alpha x plus beta y. Okay. Now substitute here alpha x plus beta y comma z is equal to, if you write it in a summation, you will get summation I is equal to 1 to n alpha xi plus beta yi into zi bar. Since we know what is inner product of x comma y, we are defining in this way. Okay, the first element you are writing in summation term, the second element will be the conjugate, right? So here the second element is z, so I am writing its conjugate. This will be equal to alpha into summation I is equal to 1 to n xi zi bar plus beta into summation I is equal to 1 to n yi zi bar. So you can write this as alpha into, this is nothing but inner product of x comma z plus beta into, this is nothing but inner product of y comma z. So inner product of alpha x plus beta y comma z is equal to alpha into inner product of x comma z plus beta into inner product of y comma z. The fourth condition you have to prove is inner product of x comma x is equal to norm x square, right? So you can write inner product of x comma x as summation I is equal to 1 to n xi bar. So xi bar is nothing but summation I is equal to 1 to n modulus of xi square. Using the defined norm, you can write this as norm x square. So therefore inner product of x comma x is equal to norm x square. Therefore you can say L2n space is Hilbert space. So this is one of the example under Hilbert space. Now let us verify whether an inner product space can be a normed linear space or not. Okay, using the theorem, we have a theorem in a Hilbert space. A linear space or a vector space with an inner product is a normed linear space. Let us find out whether a linear space with an inner product space is a normed linear space or not. Okay, so in order to prove this, that is a vector space with an inner product space is a normed linear space, we have to verify 4 conditions, that is from your vector space, right? So let's see one by one. Since we have Hilbert space, we have to consider elements in H, right? So I will consider, let x comma y belongs to H, element x and y are coming from Hilbert space H, and I will define inner product as, or norm x as, square root of inner product x comma x. This is the defined norm. Okay, so now we have to use this condition and we should prove the 4 properties of our normed linear space. If 4 conditions are holds good means you can say that a vector space or a linear space with an inner product space is a normed linear space. So if norm x is equal to square root of inner product x comma x means you can write this as inner product of x comma x is equal to norm x square, right? So the first property is norm x square is equal to inner product of x comma x. This is obviously greater than or equal to 0. The distance or a vector cannot, a distance cannot be negative, so it is always greater than or equal to 0. This implies norm x will be greater than or equal to 0. The second condition is norm x is equal to 0 if and only if x is equal to 0. This is our second condition in vector space, right? So how you can prove this? I will consider norm x is equal to 0. This implies square root of inner product of x comma x is equal to 0. This implies inner product of x comma x is equal to 0. From definition of inner product, if inner product of u comma u is equal to 0, then this must be true, right? So this implies x is equal to 0. If you go in a reverse direction, if x is equal to 0, then this implies inner product of x comma x is 0, since it is if and only if condition. So if inner product of x comma x is 0, then you can write square root of inner products also 0. So square root of inner products is 0 means from the defined norm x is also 0. So the second condition is also true. Now let's go to third condition, that is norm alpha x. We have to prove norm alpha x is equal to mod alpha into norm x, right? So you can write this as inner product of alpha x comma alpha x. This is nothing but, since alpha is scalar, you can write this as alpha into inner product of x comma x. Sorry, alpha into inner product x comma alpha x. So if you take this alpha outside, this will become alpha conjugate, okay? So you will get alpha into alpha conjugate into inner product of x comma x. Alpha into alpha conjugate means it is mod alpha square into inner product of x comma x. So this is nothing but mod alpha into square root of inner product of x comma x. So you can write this as mod alpha into norm x. So you considered norm alpha x, then you got mod alpha into norm x. So that means your third condition is also holds good. The fourth condition is norm x plus y is less than or equal to norm x plus norm y. This is our fourth condition. So let's consider norm x plus y whole square, okay? That means inner product of x plus y comma x plus y. Let's solve this part now. So this means x comma x plus y plus inner product of y comma x plus y. X comma x plus y, y comma x plus y, okay? So this is nothing but, again you will get two elements here, that is inner product of x comma x plus inner product of x comma y. Similarly here also you will get two elements, that is inner product of y comma x plus inner product of y comma y. So inner product of x comma x is nothing but norm x square plus this is x comma y as it is plus y comma x plus this is norm y square, right? So if inner product of x comma y is equal to inner product of y comma x whole bar means this is complex conjugate of inner product of y comma x, right? That means these two are real parts of inner product of x comma y. So you can write this as norm x plus y whole square is equal to norm x square plus, we have two terms, so I will write 2 into real part of inner product of x comma y plus norm y square. That is nothing but norm x square plus 2 into inner product of x comma y plus norm y square. So you can observe here carefully, that is norm x plus y whole square is equal to norm x square plus norm y square plus 2 times of inner product of x comma y. If I neglect this term, then obviously this term will be lesser than or equal to this term. Or you can write this as norm x plus y whole square is less than or equal to norm x plus norm y whole square. So here you will get both complex as well as real part. We are considering only real part. So this term will be greater than or equal to this term. Okay. So we have square gets cancelled. You will get norm x plus y is less than or equal to norm x plus norm y. So this is our fourth condition. Now you can observe all the four conditions are true in the case of linear space with an inner product space. Therefore, a linear space with an inner product space is a normed linear space. The next theorem is, we have an inequality to prove. The name of the inequality is Cauchy-Schwarz inequality. Cauchy-Schwarz inequality. The statement of this inequality is, we are considering elements from Hilbert space, say x and y. Then you should prove that mod of inner product of x comma y is less than or equal to norm x into norm y. This is the statement. Okay, we have to consider this part and we should prove this part. So if any of x and y is 0, then the statement is obvious. That is, if x is equal to 0 or y is equal to 0, then obviously modulus of inner product of x comma y will be less than or it will be equal to norm x into norm y. So we should consider a case if both x and y are not equal, right? So to prove that, I will consider norm x plus alpha y whole square. Okay, here alpha is not equal to 0 and y is also not equal to 0. Alpha is not equal to 0 and y is also not equal to 0. From the definition of inner product, if norm x plus alpha y whole square, you can write this as inner product of x plus alpha y comma x plus alpha y. You know that, right? Inner product of x comma x is nothing but norm x square. So using this, if you have x plus alpha y, you can write it like this. So now expand this inner products, you will get x comma x plus alpha y plus alpha y comma x plus alpha y. Again this gets splits into two more, that is x comma x plus x comma alpha y plus alpha y comma x plus alpha y comma alpha y. So now inner product of, I will rewrite this as it is, x comma x plus, since we have alpha here, so if I take alpha outside, it will be alpha conjugate into inner product of x comma y plus, here I have alpha, so I can take this outside, alpha into inner product of y comma x plus here alpha and alpha bar inner product of y comma y. So now we have to choose value for alpha such that it should not be equal to 0. I will choose alpha is equal to minus inner product of x comma y divided by norm y square. I am choosing this value for my simplicity, okay, to make the inequality, to prove inequality we are just getting the easier way, that's it, okay. So norm x plus alpha y whole square will be equal to inner product of x comma y. So you have alpha bar here, you can write it as minus inner product of x comma y whole bar divided by norm y square into inner product of x comma y as it is plus, you know what is alpha, so I will get minus sign here, minus inner product of x comma y by norm y square into inner product of y comma x plus alpha bar means you have alpha, so you should write alpha bar also, you will get one more negative sign, so minus into minus become plus, inner product of x comma y by norm y square into inner product of x comma y whole bar divided by norm y square into inner product of y comma y, okay. So now I will simplify this further, inner product of x comma x minus inner product of x comma y whole bar into inner product of x comma y by norm y square minus inner product of x comma y into inner product of y comma x by